Welcome to another broadcast of the Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're the dog person today.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the March 16th of the Lorain County Commissioners meeting. Mr. Kalo has a beautiful dog today.
Oh, he's looking for a friend.
Come here, let's look at the camera. Okay, yeah, you look great. Sit down. There we go. There we go. Our dog this morning is a golden retriever mix, 6 to 8 months old. She was found on East 29th Street in Lorain. She's very friendly and lovable.
Take him home,
She's
Ted.
in cage number 30, and if I don't take her home, you have an opportunity to adopt her. So please stop by our dog kennel and see what we have to offer. Okay, come on.
Aww. Yeah.
You can add her to your 3 wives, Ted.
My 3 wives and 3 dogs.
Okay, our thought for the day: while loving your enemies, treat your friends a little better. Teresa?
We have a recognition
Recognition.
this morning.
I thought Jim's name was on
And
there.
I'm not sure who is here, either Principal Roseanne Swanson or Assistant Principal Pam Polak from St. Jude's. They received the American Forest and Paper Association Award and will receive a $500 grant.
Okay. Mr. Billman is going to tell us a little bit about this.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning, Dan.
Morning, Dan.
This program that we have this grant from is part of Keep America Beautiful. We're an affiliate. Also Keep America or Keep Ohio Beautiful. We went to a training session earlier or later on last year, and at that session there was a grant offered up to all the solid waste districts in the state of Ohio. So we applied for it, and based on the program that we have with the schools in the county on the paper recycling program, they granted us the grant to do this at a remuneration of $500. So the school that got the most tonnage within 2 months, which was November and December, they would get the grand prize of $500. So today we have Principal Roseanne Swanson here with us, and she'll come up here in a minute. But we have this program going on within the schools of Lorain County, and it's grown to a very big program. So much so that the schools are actually making some funding on it, and it's in the Abitibi program. These containers are yellow and green. They're at the schools. They're at some nonprofit organizations. They're at some governmental agencies. And citizens can use them. Just by taking the paper, instead of putting it out to the curb, take it to these containers, and the schools will actually get funding for that. The 4th place school for this in the city of Elyria was Ely Elementary School. They got 11.9 tons. 3rd place was Prospect Elementary School, which is in Oberlin. They got 12.8 tons. St. Joseph in Amherst got 2nd place, and they had 14 tons. And the grand total that St. Jude's has gotten was 23 tons in 2 months. Now, that's a lot of paper. And they should be rightly proud of receiving this check today. The nice thing about it is this program is a win-win. Not only is the paper getting recycled, but it's also their schools are getting some remuneration for it. So in last year, St. Jude's received $1,557 out of this program that they can utilize. The other benefit for this, out of those 2 months, that the city of Elyria, because they have their own garbage pickup, they control what goes out to the landfill. They also have a recycling truck that picks this stuff up at the curb. And for every ton that goes out to the landfill to be processed, it costs the city of Elyria $18. So now, St. Jude's School actually saved the city of Elyria about $414 for just those 2 months. Now, you put that into perspective over the year, and they can save, just that one school can save the city of Elyria thousands of dollars, because this paper recycling program does not go to the landfill. I think that probably all the other schools that are involved in it, just these 2 months, they saved the city of Elyria about $2,000. So, and this program's an ongoing program, and we hope to continue it, and we will probably be coming before you in the future for other grants or asking you for prizes. At this time, I'd like to bring up Roseanne Swanson and have the commissioners come down to present a check.
It's a big check.
A big check.
It's a big check.
It's a big check.
We should take that to the bank.
It won't fit in the ATM slot, so. Fantastic.
On behalf of the Lorain County Commissioners and my staff, I would like to thank Roseanne and her staff and all the kids at St. Jude's School. And you have a check for $500. And also, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all the citizens for helping this school out and all the schools in Lorain County. It's a heck of a program, and we're very proud of it, and we're going to continue it. Thank you, Commissioners.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here. I wanted to take just a brief moment to say a special thank you. We appreciate the opportunity, and we certainly appreciate the funds that St. Jude's School is receiving this morning. Just a comment that I would make, this particular program began as a school effort, but it has certainly grown at St. Jude, and it has become a parish effort. In terms of the school, this program is part of our efforts and part of our work to make our students more aware and more responsible environmental stewards. It's part of a larger program along those lines. We're preparing to celebrate Earth Day in late April, and with the exception of our cafeteria refrigerators, we will be spending the day without electricity. Again, our efforts are aimed at making our students more responsible environmental stewards. Again, thank you for the opportunity, and a special thank you for the check.
You're welcome. Fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roseanne.
Teresa?
We'll go to the first one, proceed with construction of sanitary sewer improvement number 107 within Lorain County General Sewer District from Plum Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant, Columbia Township.
I see Wayne Bishop is in the audience. Would you like to come up and brief us on this, please?
Good morning, Commissioners. Since our last meeting, quite a bit has developed here at Plum Creek. The good news is that the State Issue 2 grant did come through. We were able to pick up $216,000 as a grant to that project. That represents a $4,338 reduction per household, so that was significant. I think it was worth waiting for. We also are, as you know, we're under findings and orders. Back in 2000, we were told to do quite a bit of work. We prepared the plans, we submitted them to EPA, and we've got our permit to install. And now EPA is pushing the effort. They've reminded us in a meeting and with a couple letters, and they've said, when are you going to do it? We've got to get going. And we're at the point right now, in order to meet their final deadline and their findings and orders, we have to bid this project as soon as we can get it to the bidders. So I think we're on board now.
Looks like this has been hanging out there since 1986.
Yeah. Actually, a wastewater plant every 5 years when the MPDES permit comes in, they have a listing of requirements, and we did experience findings and orders to do certain things. We've made some minor improvements, but we haven't been able to satisfy every one of them. But we're down to the point now where we're doing a major overhaul at the plant. You're going to see pretty much a 75% replacement there.
Okay. We just received a letter yesterday. I'm not sure if you're aware of it or not. It's from a Mr. Yankee regarding the Plum Creek wastewater treatment plant. It says, before you pass a resolution to proceed with the construction and improvement of Plum Creek wastewater treatment plant, I would like to know what you're going to do about the road, Mitchell Drive, that enters the package plant. I had the property surveyed by Mr. John Posiewak, and he said that the road is more than half on my property. Are you aware of that situation?
Yes, I am, ma'am. 2 years ago, we addressed that issue. It did come up at the public hearing. What's happened there is the road has meandered over the years. It's a gravel road, and it's encroached on the corner of her property, and actually about 7 feet of it's inside her property. As a result of our surveys, when we did our design plans, we moved the whole road over 20 to 25 feet and actually put a ditch between the road and her property, and it's going to improve the drainage and get the road back where it belongs. Okay. So that has been addressed.
And you will advise Mrs. Yankee of that in writing?
We will. I will send a letter. Since she is not here today, I do not understand.
Yeah, it said she wouldn't be able to attend the meeting today.
So I'll go ahead and follow up with a letter to the Yankees.
Thank you.
Thank you. When do we have a public hearing on this matter?
Commissioners, this is an issue.
Before I was born.
It would seem that way almost. 21 is not very old. This was a couple years ago, and that's why I had the Sanitary Engineers Department prepare this timeline for you of all the events that, since we've been working on this project. So somewhere in there will be the dates of the public hearing. I believe these are the ones we held at
October 2000.
the college. These were the college ones. We had so many participants, and we did quite a few hearings all in a row, and we were just moving from room to room. But everything, all the laws have been complied with. Everything that needs to be done has been done, and we're simply at the decision stage.
Well, since it's been so long since we've had a public hearing, and now that the assessments have been reduced substantially, I think I ought to open it up to if there's any residents in the audience that want to make a statement.
Before you do that, Madam Chair, I would just like Wayne to explain what the project is. I heard you say that this is a major overhaul at the plant. So in other words, we're going to keep this package plant?
Yeah, we're going to keep the main guts of the plant, being the aeration tanks. But keep in mind that the plant was built back in 1960, and when you figure a 25 to 30-year life, the plant's pretty well deteriorated by now. We've made some improvements. We're able to save the concrete structures. It's held up pretty good. But we do have to go in and make some improvements. The improvements that we're talking about is a new pump station in front of the plant. The old plant was a brick structure, and it's caving in, and the pumps have been replaced. We had an emergency last year where we had to operate on one pump for a good period of time. It's just completely needs to be replaced. We're putting in a trash trap. to take out the stringy materials that floats and the things that we got to get rid of before we can effectively treat it. We're going to put in flow equalization. That's a new requirement of EPA where if you have such a small plant, what happens, it gets washed out real easy when at certain times of the day the flow gets so large. So what we're going to do is just basically replace the flow. We'll put in a flow equalization. We're replacing the weirs that's been deteriorated in the settling tanks. We're going to put in what they call tertiary treatment sand filters. We're going to have to. That's a new requirement of EPA with the 2000 findings and orders. And we also have to put in aerated sludge holding, which was brought up here just 6 months ago by EPA. We're going to have to replace the blowers at the plant, but the main guts of the plant's going to remain.
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Anybody wishing to speak, if you come up to the microphone, would you please state your name and address for the record?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ron Blackburn. I'm a resident of Plum Creek Drive, 15046. That sewer, I understand it needs a revamp and upgrade normally. Lorco has on their record that they're going to tie a mainline sewer for Northeast Regional Sewer from Route 57 all the way to Hawk Road or proceeding further. I believe it's correct. Maybe they know a little more about it than me. Is this going to be in the future, or are they going to make us tie into this? Or, I mean, we're going to pay for a revamp now and then later on assess us to tie into this mainline pipe from 57 all the way to Strongsville? Or, you know, that's a legitimate question.
It is a legitimate question, sir. Unless something's changed, we have a flow agreement, exclusive flow agreement with Northeast East Ohio Regional Sewer District in Columbia Township, and I'm not aware of any agreement that's been achieved above and over that with Lorco. So I don't know that the information about where the treatment would be provided is correct. That's not to say that they may not be thinking about going someplace else. But if the package plan is up and functioning correctly and meeting EPA standards, you will not be forced to tie into something else. Mr. Bishop, is that accurate?
Yeah, I think what we were looking at here is a 25 to 35-year fix for what we're doing right now, and the plants, it will not make sense to abandon a good plant and connect to a different system, and we will not require that. I see no reason why we do require that.
Does that answer your question?
Somewhat, yes, ma'am. And also, once they do this, how's this going to assess our taxes on our properties? Are they going to skyrocket because they're trying to pass the new school levy in Columbia Township? I understand at first we're a building, then we're a village, then we're a township, then we become a city in our own. I can understand that. But now, this last corner of Lorain County, this 5-mile by 5-mile corner of Lorain County, I understand that Strongsville or Cuyahoga County has been really interested in receiving more property from there. Olmsted is absorbed property on the north side, and the taxes go to Olmsted. Even though it's Columbia Township, they all go to, none of those monies are coming back into our community. I'd like to, what are you people really doing for us here, besides assessing us a bigger bill?
It's not about what we're doing. The EPA, excuse me, is mandating that the plant be upgraded. The plant hasn't received significant upgrades in 45 years. The EPA came in and said the plant's not meeting standards and it needs to be upgraded. And if you're on the Plum Creek, I believe we have 50 users of that plant out there, and the commissioners, along with the sanitary engineer and the people that they hire to do engineering services, which Wayne is one of them, have worked for the last couple of years to reduce those costs to the residents, and it appears to me that they've reduced them by over 50%. It looks like about 58%. I can answer your question on the assessment. My understanding is that there'll be a little bit over a $3,000 assessment to each user of that package plant.
How many years is this going to be assessed?
And that's something that can be up for discussion. you can go probably 20 to 30 years on this. I don't think you can go 40 because it's a package plant. We may be able to. Unfortunately, it's hard for us to do a 40-year bond for that small amount of money. Now, that said, and I'll readdress this to the commissioners. We do have a number of projects coming up, and I'm looking at doing a jumbo.
Wrapping them all together.
Right,
Okay.
and possibly, driving down some of the cost again for issuance, and of course, obviously, the larger the paper, the more aggressive we can be trying to get that rated, and our interest rate on the bonds could be reduced a bit. That means staying in notes a little longer till we have enough mature projects to, package them and wrap them around in one big bond issue. As you know, we'll have the Amherst job going, we'll have these two jobs going, we have a couple more coming up pretty quick, so it makes some sense to go to a jumbo bond. We'll just have to extend notes a few months to make the timing correct, because we can't go to bonds until we're completed on each project that we'll need to wrap around. But, the assessment's down to $3,000, and I got to be honest with you, so some of the assessments that I've seen in here for some sewers in other areas,
5 times that.
pretty much. So I think the engineers, folks, have done a real good job on getting this where it needs to be.
So to answer your question, it's going to be 20 years to possibly 40 years to repay that assessment.
I understand.
Yeah, if we wrap it with the Amherst job, it'll if we're allowed to.
We could do 40.
You can do the 40 years, because we've committed to a 40-year bond on the Amherst project. I must caution, though, that, I don't find 40-year bonds desirable for most people, because you end up paying
Almost twice.
the
Almost
cost
twice
over the
the
length of 40
term
years.
amount.
You have more interest that you'll be paying,
Correct.
but the monthly or the yearly would be cheaper.
I can tell you right now what it is, if you'd like. On a current rates, a 40-year payment's about $66 per thousand per year, and a 20 years about $83 per year per thousand.
$1.50 difference a month to save 20 years.
Well, no,
No, that's
No,
per thousand.
Oh, excuse me.
it's on per thousand. It's about $17.
$17.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was just doing 1,000.
Usually the human calculator, what happened to you?
One of
Yeah.
these mornings, man.
Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Can't go too fast. I don't want to.
Hi,
Hello.
my name's Marcella Ritzman. I live at 14511 Plum Creek Drive. And I've attended all the meetings that you've had on this. And the first meeting was September 16th, 2003. I've lived at Plum Creek Drive for 43 years. And we have a flooding problem out there too. And it's the creek right by the pumping station. Okay? Oh, how's that? Is that
Pull it
better?
down a little bit. There you go.
Is that better?
That's good.
Oh, okay. And I was at the first when Wayne Bishop was here, and we discussed, what to do with the Plum Creek pumping station. And there was also, I just got little notes. There was also a barb here, and it says if you have a sewer line within 200 feet, you can be forced to go in central sewers. Now, I don't know if that's correct or not, but that was stated at one of the meetings.
If I heard you correctly, you're questioning whether if a sewer line comes past your property and you're within 200 feet of the sewer line, whether you'd have to tap in.
Correct.
That's accurate, but there won't be a sewer line coming down there, because that area will already be serviced by this package plant.
Okay, our school, Columbia School, has asked them to come down from the North Eaton area. And, I'll go on with this, because I've got notes, and you can answer. That's further down the line here.
Yeah, it would probably be easier to just take the questions one at a time. If you
Okay, fine. Let me see here. The trustees, on a meeting on April 5th, 2004, was our last meeting that I know of from the trustees on this. And at that time, they were looking into Larco from North Eaton for central sewers. A letter was sent, but nothing. We have heard nothing. exactly nothing from them.
My last understanding of Lawco's involvement in Columbia Township was that the township did a remonstrance removing themselves from Lawco.
Okay. So you're saying that 2 years from now, if they decide to go and take the central sewers after we had do this pumping station, that we're going to be forced in to go into this?
I think what I indicated to you is that if you have a functioning operating sewer that meets EPA standards, that I don't believe that they're going to bring a sewer down there and force you to hook into anything because you're already on a plant that meets EPA guidelines. Now,
Yes.
I don't think that this board could give you any assurances of what's going to happen a few years from now. We can only tell you what we're doing right now. I'm not aware of any sewers going down in this area. I'm not aware of anybody going to be made to tap into something that's going to happen years from now.
If they did come down 2 years from now and we're forced to tap in, how would they do that? Would they tap into the pumping station, or would they do it individual through the houses? Can you answer me that?
It would depend, and that's another good question. I've been in discussions with Elyria, the city of Elyria and Carlisle Township, and we have some package plants down there, and we've been talking about possibly doing away with the package plants. Most likely, they would come in through the plant if the infrastructure was sound in the area being served by the package plant. One of the problems we have in one of our other package plants is that we have a lot of infiltration within the infrastructure itself before it gets to the plant. And that's problematic for tapping into a mainline sewer because nobody wants to take all that infiltration and problems with those lines. Could an arrangement be made where the plant was deleted and the infrastructure was tapped into a mainline sewer? It could be. That's not an unrealistic thought. Even to do that, though, that would not cause an additional assessment to the homeowners. Where it's treated would not be an assessment to the homeowners. That was, instead of the package plant treating the sewage, it would flow to a larger plant, and that would be a seamless delivery for the residents out there. And Mr. Bishop, you can jump in any time you want and rescue me here.
I agree 100% with you, Mr. Cordez. There's no way that this board would ever, I cannot envision this board requiring somebody to throw away a perfectly good wastewater system and connect to another system.
Thank you.
I mean, we get too much invested into a working system.
Okay, I thank the board, and that answers my questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions?
It's been going on 20 years, and the EPA wants to fine us. I don't think we have much of a choice at this point.
Just for implication what Commissioner Kayla said, this is one of our plants that we're having problems, significant problems with the EPA. This will be another move that'll get them realizing that we're serious about solving some of the problems here.
So I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kukowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Number 2, proceed with the construction of the sanitary sewer improvement number 110 within the Lorain County General Sewer District for Columbia West River Wastewater Treatment Plant, Columbia Township.
Pretty much the same as our last assessment, correct?
It is, Commissioner, with the exception of, if you look down your summary sheet, the assessments are significantly larger here because of the few amount of users. Grant money was also received, which reduced these assessments by about 35%. Part of the problem here is the limited amount of users on the system. It's just not enough people to dilute all this cost over a period of time.
Mr. Bishop, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. Same story regarding EPA. We have to do something here. We're under the gun. We've actually told them what our plans are, and that's what we're going with. One thing I want to say is that regarding the grant, we picked up an $85,100. That's a $4,478 reduction per household, roughly the same as what the Plum Creek people got. If we're going to make this project and get in and satisfy EPA, we got to bid this thing as soon as we can.
Thank you. I'll open it up to any residents that would like to make a comment? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Bruce Corlett, 24778 Riverview Drive. I was just told here that a perfectly operating package plant would not be eliminated. Well, Burnett, a trustee of LaGrange, who does this kind of work, for $24,000 total price, they will bring that plant up to standards. It says, note, we have installed several of these types of systems per year and also manage and maintain several systems. In other countries, they deal with sewage differently than we do. They don't have as much open land as we do. They don't build these sand filters. They have, there is a self-contained little 2-foot in diameter stainless steel filter here that it backwashes itself. It's the lowest operator attention compared to any sand filter. It virtually requires no maintenance or operator attention. There's no moving parts, consequently maintenance, operator attention are an absolute minimum. And I've got all this information from the manufacturers of the people that have this filter. And Burnett will also install a dechlorinator tank, and he will bring that plant up to what the EPA wants. And we're talking, I don't care if it's double this figure. That would be $48,000. He can do whatever we need. They've got ultraviolet, they've got everything you want. They can turn it into drinking water, if you have to. So there's no need to eliminate that plant. Just bring it up to standard. And yeah, these plants are in bad shape, but that's because of the people that are in charge of taking care of them. I've got photographs of, like this one building of ours, you wouldn't believe the way they've let it deteriorate.
The Commissioners, a couple of years ago, and I'll need Mr. Bishop to respond to this, we were provided with a cost comparison of repairing the plant or abandoning the plant. Do you recall that, Mr. Bishop?
Yeah.
And if I recall the data, it's been a couple of years, and I don't have it before me, it was the same cost to upgrade as it was to abandon within a few dollars. Is that
Where's the
accurate?
figures? I don't believe you.
I was addressing Mr. Bishop, sir, and that's not a very nice comment, okay? So if you let Mr. Bishop have the mic for a moment.
Okay. The situation we have on Columbia West River Road, we have a wastewater plant that is on a very small piece of land, basically on the edge of a driveway, ready to fall into the stream. We don't have a location to put the kind of things that EPA wants to see. Back when we did the cost study to upgrade the plant, and I understand exactly what this gentleman is saying, and we did look at that. We actually provided a cost estimate which was very close to what he said. But the thing is, that is for a little volcano filter on a plant that's going to nurse that thing down the road for a couple years or whatever it's going to take until EPA comes in and does something else. But we were hit in 2005 and again in this last year with additional requirements. And the additional requirements are aerated sludge holding facilities, pump station to get to that, the whole 9 yards. They want to make that into a plant like Plum Creek. And the issue that we're up against is that because we don't have the land to build this plant, we have to put a pump station in and pump it through a 4-inch pipe to some location where we can build this good-sized plant. So if it's going to cost the same to put a pump station in and pump it to Olmsted as it's going to take to put a pump station in and pump it down the road. But the problem is, pump it down the road to an acre site or a 2-acre site and put this wastewater plant in, that's going to incur the cost of the wastewater plant. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to us when we do the cost comparison. Now, we do have a 20-year cost comparison on those plants, of what it would take to abandon the plant to Olmsted Falls as compared to what it would take to build a brand new plant down the road, purchase a property, and try to negotiate with somebody to buy the property to put this thing, and actually get a permit from EPA to put an additional discharge into the river.
Is the, could you address the mechanism that this gentleman had mentioned? Are you familiar with it at all? If you're not, that's fine, but...
Yeah, what it is you take what you got there now, which, by the way, the plant was built in 1958 and it's shot. But if you could use what you got there now and you hook to the outlet of it and you put a small filter to filtrate the liquid through and chlorinate it, that would be cheaper for just that. That doesn't satisfy EPA. That does not. We met with them. They want aerated sludge holding. They want sludge handling facilities. They want us to do the whole 9 yards.
Okay. Thank you.
This is aerated, the existing plant, and it's built, Rocky River, it is built on solid bedrock. It is not falling apart. Go there and look at the base, the block. That's a lie. We can bring that water up to any standard you want. You just tell us what the standards are, and we will find. I'll have this Burnett add any extra equipment that's necessary.
Excuse
And
me, Mr.
this
Corlett?
filter, pardon?
Excuse me, question for you. I think the EPA is telling us what they want. It's not what we want. It's what the EPA
Fine,
is telling we
okay,
have to have.
anything the EPA wants, we can do it. In that building, like that filter is only 2 feet in diameter, 5.5 feet high. And it backwashes itself, and, if you just look at it, and if you look at the building, unlike conventional filters, which must be frequently taken out of service for backwashing, the volcano constantly backwashes a portion of the sand bed, thereby continually regenerating the sand bed without shutting down. This also eliminates the need for separate backwash pumps, controls tankage, and the additional installation required of conventional systems. People here, they're so primitive. They're just so behind time, far behind times, they don't know what they're doing. And we can prove that.
With all due respect, I would suggest that perhaps it's the EPA that is the primitive people.
My wife and I went to the EPA, and they said, whatever, if you bring that up to standard, we don't care how you do it.
Oh, I don't think that's quite accurate. That's why we're dealing with this today, because of the EPA.
No, they said that if we don't pollute the river, fine. However you do that, fine. And we can do it by
This system that you're talking about.
rebuilding that plant.
But I think what you're talking about is just one piece of many things that need to be done. And that, if we could just do that, but that's not the only issue the EPA has with that package plant.
There's a blower in there, it blows air that aerates it now. No, we need someone that, an engineer on our side that knows what they're doing and could contest what we're being told. And $24,000 compared to the $242,000.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board?
I think we need to respond to this. It makes us look like we're ridiculous, and I don't think that's the case.
Well,
By the way, I'm sorry. I've got a appeal here to, I want to file an appeal, and it's time dated, stamped this morning to,
And that's certainly your right, sir.
Commissioners, the process that's being undertaken here has been submitted to the EPA. The EPA is agreeable. The EPA has approved what needs to be done here. We're under orders and mandates here. Unless you believe that this gentleman's challenging of the competency of the firm you have doing this is in question, I think we need to move ahead. And the gentleman can file as an appeal, and then you can take a look at his material as we progress. But I think we should do it as we move forward, delay the project. Plus, everybody involved with this package plan for the last couple of years knew this was coming. I don't know if they were concerned about submitting new technology. They had plenty of time to do it before we got to this point.
I was thinking the same thing. Okay, I make a motion that we approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Moving on to...
Under Resolutions, number 1, Job and Family Services.
Yes. If I may interrupt for just a moment, we had an issue with sewer improvement 114 last week that we had some additional things we wanted to address while the engineer is here. Do you want to consider
Bradley
that at this
Taylor,
point in time? Yes.
Okay.
If I may, then, if you recall, last week we passed sewer improvement number 114. There had been some discussion, and we had indicated that we would try to put together a document that would reflect the Commissioner's intent to allow a 10% reduction in that assessment and incorporate some other provisions. You have before you a copy of a proposed resolution. A few things I need to mention. My secretary was out yesterday, so
Did you do this, Jerry?
this is my typing, and all the
God.
typing errors are my
We did
errors.
make a
so-
motion last week to do the 10% reduction, though. So that motion is there, I just don't have a resolution done. This is any,
Okay, well,
This
we-
is just clarification of the discussion.
but I'm saying there should be a resolution from
Okay.
last week, so I don't want to make 2 double motions unless we're going to include more.
I'm just saying, we did the motion for the 10%, we did pass the resolution on that last week.
But I just don't have it completed.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
We just, no, we passed the resolution, then we were supposed to get a document between the attorneys to clarify the issues.
Right, in that 10-day period, Jerry, you guys are going to work it out. We passed the motion last week,
But they
though.
did it
Okay.
last week, so.
So all that typing for nothing,
Well,
Jerry.
there's,
No, because I still need it for last week,
Oh.
what we've done, but I don't have anything done from last week, so I just don't want to make 2 motions unless you want to make another motion and rescind whatever.
Is there anything that...
what we had intended to do was want to clarify in writing our understanding. So whether we call this another resolution or not, we did want to forward to the citizens involved a document that reflected what our intentions were. And maybe I need to redo this. Actually, I have 2 resolutions, and I tried to get into my secretary's word processing, which I'm not allowed to do, and I'm in a world of
see?
trouble. And she told me this morning it's lost and out there somewhere. So, but in any event, this reflects our understanding. The only thing we were uncertain about is we indicated that we would look for other grants, and even though we have indicated we don't think we're going to find any, if we get other grants, we indicated that we would apply that to reduce the project. The only issue is, will we allow the landowners to share that 10%? You find what I'm saying? Reduce the grant and then still allow them to share the 10% of that. And that's the way this current...
In other words, are we going to spend 90,000? It was like 90, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Even whether we get grants or not?
Right.
That's the question.
Pretty much, Commissioner. If I can simplify it, we had thought that we would try to find additional resources other than tapping the general fund for the Commission's contribution. What has been discussed out there, and I think it's slightly different than where possibly our mindset was that we would use that to offset our cost. They want to put into the pooled cost, and then our 10% applied to the remaining balance. So if we received a $90,000 grant, we could not apply it to our $90,000 cost. We would actually only reduce our out-of-pocket by $9,000.
Right.
And I had some
No.
discussion with the board about trying to find additional resources to limit our exposure from the general fund on our portion. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but that was a slightly different take on the arrangement.
Do we have to make a decision on this today? We received a letter from trustee Lynch this morning, and I guess my question too is, we're talking about something that may or may not have an application, because we don't know if we're going to get other monies.
Well, it's
So
our
can we cross
understanding
that
we
bridge
probably
Won't.
when we come to
won't.
it?
The only problem is that the appeal time, excuse me, the appeal time runs, I think, tomorrow. I should also mention, we do have one landowner. It's not somebody represented by Mr. Phillips, but we do already have one appeal filed, so it might make the whole thing moot anyway, but I'm just following up on what the commissioners asked us to do, is to try to put some kind of document which reflects what our intention was.
That person that's appealing says that they're already tied into the sewer.
Right. We have some questions regarding the validity of that appeal, but just so everybody knows, there has been one filed already.
Well, I was under the impression, when I came up with that 10% was after the final cost, including whatever grants. So if the deal went down to $700,000, we'd be exposed 70.
Okay, great.
That's what my intent was.
That actually makes
to
it very
be.
easy, Commissioner. Okay.
That was my intent. No matter what money we find, if we find $800,000, it's $100,000, we're still at 10%, 10 grand, so.
But I'll redo this.
I'm very generous this week.
There was also a not-to-exceed amount in that motion.
Exactly. Yeah, it was, what, the $90,000 or whatever it was?
I thought it was 100.
I don't think we were that high, because it was a
We were down to
$913,000 project.
We were down to, I believe, around $813,000
Because
with
of
the
the
changes in the
$100,000 with the
laterals.
townships and the laterals?
The laterals in the road.
Okay.
And I think that you said that you would do 10% of that
Right.
cost. Okay.
What I'll do as soon as my secretary fixes her computer system, which I've broken.
Or you let Mr. Phillips write the resolution up for you. I'm sure his secretary's at work, Jerry.
I don't know if he has any further comment to make, but I'll put this in a document that we can attach to the resolution and have on record.
Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, if it would please the commissioners, I'd at least like to make some comments pertaining to this issue. I'd like to thank the commissioners for their good faith efforts in their commitment to assist the residents in helping reduce the financial burden of the Broadway Avenue Taylor Street Sanitary Sewer District Improvement Number 114. By their assistance and cooperation and coordination with the residents and the Amherst Township trustees' efforts to reduce the financial burden. We were here on March 7th, and a number of things were discussed. I've talked with Jerry Ennis, and I've pretty much got a summary of what those points are, and they're pretty indicative of what his proposed resolution is. One was the removal of the roadway replacement from the assessment to allow the Amherst Township trustees to apply for grants for the roadway replacement through the Ohio Public Works Commission, which is approximately a savings of $80,000 to $90,000, and attempts to obtain additional funding for the storm sewer portions of the roadway improvement, if that's possible. Two, the ability of the 8 individual property owners with multiple lots who are being charged multiple laterals for lots, which lots are not buildable, to opt out of the additional lateral assessment of $4,059.29 for each extra lateral upon the execution of appropriate legal documents acknowledging the lack of sewer access for these lots and their responsibility to bear any future costs of installation of laterals if they later decide to install the laterals. 3, the good faith efforts to obtain and apply for available grant money and interest-free loans available for the project, such as the Ohio Department of Development, Ohio Public Works Commission. There are no guarantees that such grant money or interest-free loans are available, but they would be applied for in all necessary attempts to try to reduce the cost. The county has obtained an interest-free loan through the Ohio Public Works Commission of approximately $148,000 for about half of the outfall cost to State Route 58 for the project, and assistance in leveraging any available grant money which is received to obtain any additional grants. Fourth, the County Community Development Department assistance to the individual landowners in their application to obtain any community development block grants for the project, if available and if they're eligible. Fifth, looking into value engineering items for the project to reduce the cost of the project. Sixth, pursuant to a resolution that you passed on March 7, 2006, the county will fund, without assessment to the landowners, 10% of the final costs, project costs, provided no appeal is filed with the probate court regarding the commissioner's decision to proceed with the project, as reflected by the passage of your resolution 06-173, and this is an approximate cost savings of $90,000. I fortunately had an opportunity inadvertently to watch the commissioners' meeting because my son was at home and he had the portion. And my understanding, as clearly reflected by the letter from Neil Lynch and the two other trustees were there, that any reduction of the 10% would apply on the net assessable cost. If the project cost is $900 and you get grants of $100,000 and it's $800, it's 10% of that, as Commissioner Kalo indicated. In fact, I came to the portion where Commissioner Kukowski clearly indicated that based on her thing. So this subsequent thing about applying it against that 10% clearly wasn't the understanding of any of the residents, clearly wasn't the understanding of the trustees. In fact, you have two prior things where assessments on those two prior projects, you took the grant money, lowered the cost that could be assessed, and then you applied it to the residents. That's the procedure that everybody understood. So it may become a moot point, okay, but that clearly was the understanding, and to change that I don't think is fair to the residents. It is really not in the spirit of cooperation and that you indicated at the last meeting. So on behalf of the residents, I have to oppose that concept because that wasn't the understanding and it wasn't the agreement.
Are we in agreement with him?
On behalf of
You're in
the...
agreement with him.
We're in agreement with you, Jerry.
Okay.
10% of final
How
cost.
they were coming over, you know.
You want billable hours right now?
I'd like to make a couple other comments. First of all, I have not been retained or engaged to represent any of those property owners with any appeal. I will not be filing any appeal on behalf of any property owner. But any individual property owner, you know, on their own can file an appeal if they want to engage some other counsel. In connection with Mr. Lilly, Britt, and Song, Lilly, I've never represented them. I've never spoke with them. Any indication to a contrary effect is clearly an error. I understand with talking with Therese Upton and looking at the file that back in December there was a letter that was filed on their behalf from Smith & Smith attorneys. An attorney, Mr. Franco, he represents them, not me. So to any extent that there's any statement or inconsistency that I have ever represented them, that is totally incorrect and it is an error. None of the residents, I'm not retained, I'm not filing any appeal. I'd like to thank the commissioners for their honest, good faith effort and commitment to help reduce the financial burden upon the residents. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
I have a letter to this effect. I'm going to submit it just to Teresa, just for the part of the record. It's pretty much what I stated. So thank you very much.
Just so we're clear, the letter I sent to you, Mr. Phillips, even though I'll have to change that from being the form of a resolution, that is what we will put into the record to reflect our understanding.
Yeah, if you take care of the typo of the date and put the resolution number.
Fixing the typos.
The substance of what you proposed, Jerry, we have no objection to. I just wanted to, mine's pretty much identical, so. And I appreciate Jerry Ennis's efforts to reflect that. And I think it's important that is passed because I think it's part of indication by the commissioners of their good faith effort and their sincere effort to try to help reduce this, which I think in the past they did on the other two. I know on the one on the West River Road in the past, I appeared before this board on their
East
behalf
River.
in the past. East
East
River?
River.
Yeah.
East River.
So in a year ago, there were some indications that you would make some efforts to get the grants, and on both of those you were able to. So we appreciate that commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
I think we can move on now to regular business, no?
Yeah, we're ready to roll.
Are we
Right.
through?
Resolutions number 1, Job and Family Services bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kukowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Advances and repayments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye, and a comment. There is a requisition in here for Diebold amounting to $325,000. It's a 6-year commitment for the Board of Elections.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Travel expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Commissioners, I have a few personnel issues on some hiring, potential hiring, and I want to go over those with the board, plus bring you up to date on some issues of collective bargaining, both allowable topics under the Sunshine Law, and I don't know if Mr. Ennis has anything.
I may have a few things to update.
Okay.
Authorize the salary of Jessica Camperta, the bailiff at Oberlin Municipal Court, effective February 27, 2006, at a biweekly rate of $461.54. She is replacing Sue Sminnick, who resigned, reflecting the county's 2/5 share.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Authorize the release or retention of the amount of $2,165.60 plus interest as final payment to Lake Erie Electric, Inc., Lorain, for the work performed on the Murray Ridge School HVAC project. All necessary documents have been completed.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Support House Bill 676, the United States National Health Care Insurance Act, which is the expanded and improved Medicare for all.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, I see Bruce Bostic is at the podium, and I'm sure he has lots to say.
No, I don't have
No?
lots to say.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank you all for hearing this resolution, make a couple of very brief comments. This is there is no issue that's more important to our nation's people than the huge number of people not covered by health insurance. Nearly 50 million people in the United States are now not covered, and this is a local issue. It's an issue that weighs heavily on cities, counties, and states. And the Conyers bill, and a co-sponsor to that, co-introducer was Congressman Kucinich from Cleveland, addresses this in a way that will lower costs dramatically in the United States and cover all citizens. We're the only industrialized country that doesn't now cover all its citizens with health care, and we spend far more than any other nation on health care while covering far less. So at this point, there has been a real dramatic development, mushrooming of movements around fighting for some form of national health care or coverage for all citizens. And we would appreciate it if the county commissioners would pass a resolution supporting this initiative. Congressman Brown from this district was number 70 of the co-sponsors, and we feel that in passing these kind of resolutions, which have been passed by numerous cities and counties, that it provides some impetus to this movement that is so badly needed by so many of our citizens. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. Madam Chair, I'd like to move that we approve this, and I'd also like to thank Elizabeth Rummix for the information that she forwarded after I kind of asked her to do a little homework, and thank Bruce and the Lorain County Coalition that is sponsoring this resolution.
Well, thank you, Betty, for coming and helping with this, and the commissioners.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Instruct the clerk to re-advertise for bids for the additions and alterations in Lorain County Record Center for mechanical contract and fire protection control. Mandatory pre-bid will be held at 2 p.m. on April 5th. Bids to be open at 2 p.m. on April 12th. And notice will be published in the Chronicle Telegram on March 22nd and 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Under Children and Families, instruct the clerk to advertise for requests for proposals for the Help Me Grow FY07, administered by Lorain County Children and Families Council. Notice will be published in the Morning Journal on March 20th and 27th, and bids to be open at 2:30 on April 3rd in the Commissioners' Public Hearing Room.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the Community Development Department, increase various fees charged by Lorain County Board of Building as a result of the new fees charged to the county by the State of Ohio, effective May 27, 2006.
I see Rebecca in the audience. Would you like to, or Ron, somebody want to come up and give us a brief? It seems like about $5 per item increase. Is that what I was looking at?
Very good. That's exactly what it ends up being on most cases. We have 21 fees, plumbing fees, electrical fees, mechanical fees. The highest one is based on, the highest increase is $10. It's going from $350 to $360 based on the square footage of the house. But out of the 21 total fees, we're increasing or requesting that an increase of totaling $69 be added to those fees. It works out to about 3%. 1% will go directly to the state of Ohio. We haven't had an increase since we started the building department, so the other $2 will stay here. But the 61 fees being increased only amounts to 69 total dollars that we're asking for. And this is because of a new law. We'll be back in another 2 weeks probably, asking you to adopt the new state code. That's another item that we have to take care of.
The ABOA codes?
Yeah.
I thought we did that already.
You did for the 04, but now with this new passage, they have an 05, and we're going to have to do it again.
I have had a few complaints regarding having the inspectors come out, because we don't have a full-time inspector. We pull them
Correct.
from other cities, I believe.
Correct.
It kind of delays the process for some of the developers. Are we going to address that? I mean, we're asking for an increase, but we're not increasing our service in any way at this point.
We have a complaint procedure. If they are registering complaints with the Board of Commissioners, I'm unaware of it. They have not registered complaints with our department. We can address that. If they complain with the local community, we also, in every September, hold a meeting for all and invite in all of the members of the building department to come in and talk to us. Typically, what we do get is concerns voiced by homeowners and contractors that are just starting with the building department, understanding that we're not going to send an inspector out during normal work days, but we do send them out after work and on weekends, which other departments don't. It holds our cost down, makes it so we can charge lower fees. As a result, once they get online, I'm unaware of any contractor that has said this has not worked out to their betterment, because their crews aren't standing around talking to our inspector off the job site. If it's necessary for the general contractor or any of the subs to be there to talk to the inspector, they can. But to my knowledge, we require 24 hours notice, and a lot of times the weather breaks during the winter and they'll ask for an inspection within 2 hours because they're ready to pour. That's not what they understand or any city would do on that kind of a quick time basis. So if they're registering complaints, I would suggest you remind them that there is a complaint procedure they should follow through, and that's through our department.
The commissioners, when we formed the department, it was along the lines of being self-supporting. and it wasn't going to be a burden onto the general fund. And it's growing, and there's revenue there, and I think within a few years, we may be able to have a full-time staff. I'll let you know now that, Mr. Twining and I have been in discussions, and next week I'm going to be talking to you about Ms. Masterson, who is providing the work over there, and some structural changes. It's time for that department to have at least one of its own full-time staff assisting, and the economics are there. We haven't reached the economics yet where we can have full-time inspectors, but I will tell you, I think within a couple of years, we're going to be there. And then maybe some of those minor concerns can be further alleviated. We had some concerns going into this that it was going to be a real drag on us, and it didn't end up being that way. And that's because of the good administration of Mr. Twining and his staff over there. So we're in a growth period with this department. When community development comes back to the 5th floor, we haven't had a lot of discussion on this, but we're going to leave the building department over in that building over there because of the comings and goings are more agreeable to being out of this building with that department than they are being in this building.
It would make it a lot easier for the contractors themselves.
We are reaching out in a customer service fashion to provide a good service to them. That's very agreeable to them.
Thank you.
Ms. Blair, you have that.
That look on her face?
We had anticipated, if I could, for the first 2 years that we were going to be in the black and need general fund subsidy. I will say that both the first year and the second year we ended in the positive, and we've been able to buy some equipment that was necessary for the permanent record preservation that we didn't think we'd be able to buy ever out of the funds. We thought we'd have to ask for the Commissioner's General Fund to support that, but we've been able to do that. So the one thing that surprised us was the state all of a sudden. They've never collected a local fee, and now they're collecting this 1%. And we think that these fees, or this adjusted fee, will be good for another couple of years. But we've been at every year in the black. We are suggesting one change this year, and we hope to add another change with one permanent chief building official. I've been serving in that capacity. I would just as soon not. But I can do that, but we want to make sure that it's cost effective before we go that avenue.
What's the matter? Are you tired of working 15-hour days?
I wish it was 15-hour days.
Yeah, you could use the break.
And how do these fees compare to the city's fees? Are they lower, higher, same?
We are still going to be dead center of all of the other communities, but they have full-time staff. They have more permits taken out. We thought we'd have 4 communities, at most 5 by now. We actually have 7 communities, and then Carlisle has its own building department, so that means 8 of the 18 townships are now covered with building codes. One of the issues under the new law is whether we want to make the move to also do commercial development, and we're going to be examining that over the next year as well, because it would be better for people if the county would do commercial inspections as well, rather than sending them to Akron or Columbus. But
That
we'll
would be a real
evaluate that.
service if we could provide that.
Yeah, but it's also costly, and we would definitely have to have full-time people on staff for those trades.
Something to work towards.
Did I make a motion? Nope. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Accept the recommendation of the Tax Incentive Review Council and approve the Turk report, which includes a review of 34 tax abatement agreements and the recommendation to continue 32 abatements for another year, acknowledge expiration of 1, termination of 1, and amend 1 due to the name change of the company.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under Golden Acres, authorize the auditor to set up a new fund for Golden Acres, Fund 3424, Golden Acres Medicare Fund. This is to track Medicare funds that are billed to residents' Medicare Part A insurance and should not be commingled with other funds that the agency receives.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Approve and enter into cost report proposal with Planting Moran for the Golden Acres for a year ending 2005. 2 proposals were received, and this was the most responsive in complying with specifications.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
The next two are going to be on hold. Is that correct?
That's correct. Commissioners, Mr. Billman went back and looked, and we need to make some adjustments in number 19 and number 20, so I would respectfully request that we place them on our agenda next week to be revisited.
Under Workforce Development Agency, instruct the clerk to advertise for RFPs for the tutoring and monitoring for the WEA Youth Program. Notice published in the Chronicle Telegram on March 22nd and 29th. Pre-conference at 1 p.m. on April 5th, and open at 3 p.m. on April 12th in Commissioners' Public Hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Under the engineer, approve and enter into contract with KS Associates in the amount of $215,015 to provide for engineering services for Colley Road from Crocker Road to State Route 82, Eaton Township, to be paid from the professional services account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Cordes, County Administrator?
Commissioners, I have a last-minute issue here that was brought to the Lorain County Solid Waste District from the City of Elyria to act as a conduit for a OD&R grant for a company that is putting a materials recovery facility here. The request is for $250,000 from OD&R with no match by us. We would just simply be the conduit to this company locating in Elyria, and they are going to be adding a piece of equipment. In addition to the $250,000 they would possibly get from OD&R, they're going to match it with $560,000 for an investment on this equipment of $810,000, and they'll create 3 new manufacturing jobs here in Elyria. I met with the Safety Service Director yesterday, and he apologized for the short fuse. They're trying to put this together, but it's got to be at the state tomorrow. It doesn't cost us anything. Again, we're just a conduit. I'll pass this up for your consideration, but I would request that you make a resolution approving that.
Are we allowed to release the location?
Anything in the grant is public record,
You
Commissioner.
don't know. I thought you were just going to tell me.
My answer is yes.
But do you know?
But you're not going to tell me. You don't know.
It's all in there. Mr. Billman, if you would like.
Oh, okay. Thank you. This is a company that's just come into the city of Elyria. They bought a 100,000 square foot building on Liberty Court. They seem to be a fairly aggressive facility. They're going to bring 50 jobs, and if they get this grant and add this piece of equipment, they've said that they will, in fact, add 1 to 3 jobs, along with the 50, as I understand it.
Yeah, the front of their application says 1 to 3, but in the puff piece it says 3. So
It's propaganda, Jim.
yeah, I like
We'll take the one, though.
I agree.
It says it's a mixed plastics reclamation project.
I'd make a motion to pass a resolution.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
I was told to share the City of Elyria's thank you for the fast turnaround and the assistance with this, and the cooperation from the Board of Commissioners. If you didn't pass it, I'm not sure what I was supposed to tell you. With that, it's been a long meeting, and I'll reserve further comment. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Mr. Ennis, Assistant County Prosecutor?
Just as indicated before, I have a little update on some litigation. Other than that, I think I'm going to resign as typist for the prosecutor's office, and I'm probably fired as the IT specialist.
Commissioners report.
I just want to say yesterday we had our first State of the County address, and it ended up being a really, really nice event. And I want to thank all of our department heads and Community Development Department, everybody who helped put that together for us. And just said I'll miss you guys all next week. I won't be here, so.
Yeah, you'll miss us, right.
That's all.
Yeah, again, the state of the county, there's a lot of work putting it together, and I appreciate all the help from our department heads and Mr. Cordes. By the way, the March Madness quote with the new TVs in the office was just a joke, so everybody understands that. Commissioner Blair?
thanks to the Chamber for hosting us. I think I've been asking for this for a long, long time, so I guess ask and ask again, and you shall receive. Mr. Cordez, I would like you to let us know when the videos are available from that, because I've had requests from the Luria Library to let them know either when it'll be shown or if videos are available.
Well, I figured we would probably attempt to add it as a trailer like we usually do with some of our special events, depending on the length of our meetings. Hal?
Won't be after this meeting.
When do you think that they would, when do you think that they would be available?
Actually, possibly after this meeting.
Okay, great. Okay, and when would individual copies be able for us to make copies? When would we have a master? Okay. Is that satisfactory answer, Commissioner?
I'd also like to know if they might have a schedule of when these might be shown at a scheduled time.
Well, the scheduled times would be the same time the board meetings are shown, depending on the length of the board meetings. We only have 2 slots.
I understand that, but I thought maybe it's such a special thing that we might get some more time.
I can make a request of the college to give us additional airtime if you'd like.
I think that would be nice if you did that.
I will do that. Hal, do you have it as an independent, standalone video, or did you make it as a trailer to the commissioners' meetings?
I can make it both ways.
Okay. Would you do that for us, please?
Hal can do anything, Jim.
And I want to thank you for running on the bottom of the meeting. I don't normally watch the meetings since I'm very critical of my performance here, and it just bothers me terribly. But I did watch a little bit of it this week, and I saw that you ran a thing explaining why the meeting wasn't in its entirety at the bottom. So it used to be the meeting stopped in the mid sentence on some people, and you actually now have put a runner at the bottom telling them because of the length of the meeting that they we're not going to be able to show the whole meeting, but that copies were available at the Commissioner's office. I want to thank you for doing that. That's very informative to the public.
Thank you. And then I would like to, since Hal's done such a nice job of advertising our Alliance Transportation Day, I want to let you know that the date has been changed. Due to not being able to house us on April the 7th, the Transportation Day for the Alliance has been moved to Friday, April the 28th, same time. And then finally, I would like Ron Twining to introduce his new 2 Lorain County employees that are in the audience. I am so pleased to see one of them back, and I'm so pleased to see the other new one here. So
Thank you, Commissioner. My esteemed supervisor was going to give me this, but...
Well, your commissioner took care of that for him.
I'm pleased to announce our 2 newest staff members. One started Monday of this week and will be learning the ropes of brownfield as well as economic development. That's Jason Hammond. Jason could come up if he wishes. Jason grew up in Vermilion, Ohio. His family has a bakery and a small business. He's worked with them, has his master's degree from Cleveland State, so we're extremely pleased to have Jason here. And the other one is the small business development person, somebody familiar to all of Lorain County, a resident of Oberlin, Ohio, a good friend of mine, I will say. Pat and I keep passing places of employment, but Pat was employed by the Board of Commissioners for about 12 years, and she is the Small Business Development Center. I stood here asking to do this because Pat's got a meeting she's going to be late for, so I'll let Pat say a few things, and then Jason.
Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's absolutely great for me to be back. I am looking forward to working again back in Lorain County and in this area. When I left here about 8 years ago, I went to Cleveland, worked with the Growth Association, and had an opportunity to do small business lending directly and only. That wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be. So it's a real pleasure to be back. I appreciate your having me back. The confidence that you have in me, and I will do everything I can to bring this small business development piece to Lorain County in an effective manner. Thank you very much.
Commissioner, just to expand on that small business development piece, once again, the commissioners are at the forefront of a cooperative effort. Nobody else in the state of Ohio is quite doing their small business development cooperation the way we are with the Community Development and the Chamber of Commerce in a collaborative partnership with the sharing of resources. It's just another piece of the mosaic of the growth partnership that the board is supporting and has encouraged. And without that cooperation, we may not have a small business development center right now. I don't know if Mr. Twining would agree with that, but we weren't doing much of anything for a while here in Lorain County because of lack of resources. And Pat, Ron's not to leave. Every time one of you guys show up, one of you leave. Okay? You know, I have a long history with both of you too. So hopefully you'll be here and you'll be together for a little while.
We'll come to get you.
We did it once.
I think Jason would like to say something.
Okay, I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Jason Hammond, and I'd just like to thank Mr. Twining and Rebecca Jones for giving me the opportunity to become part of the team at Community Development, and ultimately thank Mr. Cordes and the commissioners. And I look forward to doing my part to help make Lorain County a better place for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. As soon as we get you a telephone, you'll really be in good shape, huh, Jason?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. That's the end of my report, Madam Chair.
I don't have anything. Board correspondence.
I have two items I would like to just comment on. Item number 2 is the Lorain County Agricultural Society. They spent $31,254.43 on the 2005 Junior Fair program, and I think that's wonderful. And I think that just helps all of Lorain County, and I think they have to be lauded for that. And then item number 6, if you have read that, I have a copy of the letter. And Vince Urban from our Community Development Department is our appointee to that Western Reserve RC&D Development Council, and they have written to Representative Kazura and others about House Bill 387 and their concern regarding it because, in their opinion, this bill would transfer the function of the Ohio Coastal Management Plan to the 7 coastal soil and water conservation districts, and that would dilute the function of the Ohio Coastal Management Program by spreading the function among 7 agencies rather than providing one office in Sandusky. And I would like us to send a letter supporting their concept of opposition, and I would like to make that a motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
All right.
We'll have Jerry type that letter for us.
No, oh, no. Oh, Madam Chair, I'll type it myself.
So would you like to waive the reading of all the other correspondence? Or?
Go through them one by one.
I'll second.
Ms. Blair?
Do I want it? Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
All right.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Public comment?
Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning. This is not so long a meeting that I can't ask another question. Just for more information, number 18 on the agenda, what is that?
Cost report proposal, Jim, for Golden Acres.
The Golden Acres cost report proposal.
What that is we go back and we do an audit of our Medicare payments out at the county home, and we make sure that we're getting paid correctly. So it'll be an audit of bill charges and the likes to attempt to gain some additional payments that may have been overlooked. I don't think they have, but it's a good practice to do that.
Excuse me, is that number 17 you're speaking to, or number 18?
18.
18. Plant Moran.
Plant Moran.
I thought that's what you asked for, 18. Did
You
you
did.
not?
Yes, 18,
Yeah, that was
please.
18.
The number 17 is simply setting up a different fund pool so that we have the ability to account for the various revenue streams independently, which is required by the federal government.
Yes, I think that's quite clear. Then I didn't understand your first answer as to number 18.
Well, what they do is they go back and they audit what we've billed to make sure that the proper billing is done. and it's properly coded, and that we're recovering all our allowable expenses.
Okay, thank you. In that
Okay.
regard, I've always been astonished at how any doctor stays in business, given how long the time seems to be between when one makes a visit and when the billing goes through.
Probably all the more reason why we should have that House Bill 676 that you did the legwork
Yeah.
on. Yeah, I think that that would be helpful.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I move that we go into executive session as outlined by our administrator.
Second.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Commissioners have reconvened from executive session. And we are going to, you want to explain it, Dan?
I have Ed Weismerski from Arnco in Elyria here, and he's applying for the a grant, market development grant from ODNR, and he's going to come over here and say a few things to you about the grant, what they're doing.
Good morning.
Good morning. Appreciate you taking the time to review this application. My name is Ed Weismerski. I'm with the Arnco Corporation. I'm actually applying for this grant under Poly Recycling Services Corporation, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of our Arnco Corporation is the wholly owned subsidiary of Poly Recycling Services Corporation. Right now, Arnco Corporation manufactures high-density polyethylene pipe, which is used in the conduit and telecom application as well as in pressure pipe. Pressure pipe, just briefly, is utilized for sewer, potable water, and mine and gas recovery. It is an up-and-coming industry, if you will. Arnco's been established for 20 years, and Arnco has identified an opportunity to take out of the waste stream pipe that we currently sell to our customers and recover it. What we've done is we've established a landfill in Wyoming where they've segregated out for us, and we did this last year, some 300 tons of material in a designated spot where Arnco went in, took the material, ground it up, and returned it to a plant that we have in Utah and recycled it 100%. So what we want to do in the state of Ohio and surrounding communities is take that model, utilizing the funds that the state of Ohio is going to match that we've applied for, and we want to buy some equipment to do the same thing in established designated sites, working with the local communities, our local landfills in Ohio and surrounding communities to do the exact same thing. The potential for recovering this is significant. If you look at polyethylene in general, it doesn't degrade. Once you throw something away that's polyethylene, like a Tide bottle or something, it's there forever. So we look to, benefit the community by obviously not growing the landfill, because pipe, as you know, you're bearing a lot of air. If you can picture segments of pipe anywhere from a ½ inch up to 36 inches in diameter. Of course, Arnco benefits because we are taking recycled material, recyclable, and instead of having to buy virgin resin, we can use recycled material. So we're asking that, on behalf of the county, that you partner with us and go to the state and request the funds that we have put down, which is $160,000 to purchase capital equipment that would be used to go and obtain the material. In other words, when you go to a landfill, you need to shred the pipe up. You've got to reduce the size so it's economical to bring it back. You need to shred it. You need to grind it even further so that you can process it. Once it's in a ground form, you need to put it in a pellet form as though I was buying it new. So you have to buy a pelletizer, and then from there it's in a usable form. So that's the justification for the $160,000. So In summary, we want to establish a program, I guess, in Ohio, like we have utilized. What we've done, I should say, I'm kind of backtracking here. What we've done in Wyoming, we've established this program, but it was kind of a learning curve. We purchased a tree chipper, and we're feeding our pipe into a tree chipper, and it shreds, if you can imagine a big oak log, and it works. And we were blowing it into a van trailer. So we want to improve upon that process, and that's the reason for the additional equipment. Right now, what we had to do with the Wyoming shredded materials, take a Bobcat, it's like a front-end loader, take that Bobcat and unload the trailer and dump it into a grinder. It's very labor-intensive, and it's not, we're further reducing the material. We think we can improve upon that by buying this capital equipment, bringing it to Ohio, using that Wyoming model, and bring it to Ohio and utilize it here. Any questions about what we're trying to?
Looks like a good investment.
But,
Your match is the same as the grant requested. You're asking for $160,000, and your match is $160,000.
That is correct. Yeah,
Okay.
the state will actually, the state will match up to $250,000. What we have budgeted, for in our capital budget this year is $160,000 for this capital equipment. And I did attach a letter from our CFO saying that it has been established in our financial budget.
I'll move to
Sounds good for you, good for the county, good for our landfill, so
Yeah.
I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Make a motion to go back into executive session.
Second.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.